Tell us what you'd like to tell us, and we are here to listen. But in the meantime, the town is going to continue to take a very responsible approach to provide for the residents, to make sure that we have the proper counsel in place, that we don't miss deadlines, that we're preparing the case. Because I don't know if you've worked in this field, perhaps you have.
I have.
Okay, so then you know that the process is to get as much information, to protect the deadlines, to protect the public, and then you reach out to the perceived responsible parties to start to sort this out.
Did we reach back to the original engineers? That's my question. And ask them to come down and see what was wrong with this garage. Did we do that? That's number one.
I believe that to be the case. I was not here in the previous years that the town has been dealing with that, but I believe that is the case. And we have continued to give this a lot of attention. When I say I'm going to get to the bottom of this, it's not just words.
Okay.
I am very serious about that. We are getting all the information. In the meanwhile, we're ensuring the public is safe. We are dealing with this by putting up netting so that the small particles that have been falling, remember, as you know, you said you work in this field, expansion and contraction is going to be one of the issues, right?
No problem.
Okay, and in order to have a successful case, you have to start preparing that responsibly from the beginning. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that. Okay, and my next...
And that's what we're doing. I'm telling you this because you're clearly upset, and I want to allay some of your concerns that the town is acquiring all of the information necessary so that the town has all of the options, whether it is going to court or getting a settlement or getting the responsible parties to
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's fine. Now, the next item that I want to talk about is the status of the Hirani engineering report. We spent $50,000 for Hirani engineering to evaluate the condition of the garage. Can we get
the full amount of time? Does he still have time, right?
Yeah,
just used it.
Can I have? I want.
He doesn't want to hear what the residents have to say.
I spent time with Commissioner Lenz in regards to the Hirani engineering report. I put in a FOIL for that. They said the report was ready. I want to get that copy of that report. Can I get a copy of that report today?
Let's ask Mr. Lenz up and let's find out that information for you. Let's get your question answered.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lenz, the report that has been described, is that fully prepared and ready to be released to the public yet?
It hasn't been fully prepared. There's been several submissions of it, because each time we review it, there's additional information that we want added to it. The other thing too is also we talked to the town attorney's office. This is not going to be a foible item because of the litigation.
Can we at least provide the resident with some of the information so that so his questions, he's visibly shaken and upset by this, and we should provide him with some of the information that's foilable?
Certainly could, but what the problem is, and I'll be...
Do you park in this facility?
No, I don't.
You don't, so your car is never in there?
I would put my car in there.
Doesn't matter.
The problem is that some of these people who are asking for some of these documentation don't really know what they're reading. And he's going to tell you he's an engineer, but he's an electrical engineer. That's just like me going to a hot doctor for my foot. It's not the same thing.
He's still a
I've been in this industry for quite a while.
Sir, let's not go back and forth.
Okay,
Commissioner, he's still a resident asking for information, so I'd like to meet with you and the town attorney this afternoon after the town board meeting to discuss this, to determine if it's foilable or not. And if it's foilable, my feeling is we should provide the information to the public.
Can the board be provided with that information?
Absolutely.
I'd like to get provided with it. Because I have built walking garages, and they are still standing and doing well.
Of course. The actual information should come in another week with everything pulled together. What we had asked is...
I'll sit in your office.
No, just so you know, what happens is as we have done this whole Hicksville garage, we have done steps by steps. We don't go in there and say, do all of this, because you're not going to get the right product. So we're doing everything step by step. So they submitted a report, it didn't, we needed some additional information, so they submitted it and submitted it. So this will be done in another week, we'll have everything taken care of. I can give you what I have now, absolutely.
I'll tell you what, I'll go sit in your conference room with the report, a cup of coffee, and
I've also had this resident in my office showing the documentation of everything else. I gave him boxes of stuff to look through. He wanted this particular report that I said at the time, I didn't know if I could give it out, and then we checked with the town attorney's office, and now since we're suing, I'm told that that's a work product of the suit.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Chaco, is this true?
Yes, it is true.
You have sat in his office and he has provided...
I just told you that right now.
He has provided you information in depth on the parking garage.
He has provided me with the documentation I require. Now,
Thank you.
the last question I want to bring in is, now, is the parking garage safe for public use?
Yes.
In this, no, wait a minute, stop, you're just saying that. In this document that you provide in regards to Luzardo's, we have electrical issues, we have carbon monoxide issues. It states that the carbon monoxide detectors have to be replaced in 5 years in this Luzardo's RFP. Have we done that? We have right now, I'm an electrical engineer, right? Recently in New York City, someone died because of stray electrical currents touching a grate, and that individual got electrocuted and died. We have water infiltrating electrical conduits in there. Is it safe? Is someone going to get electrocuted and die there? This is a public safety concern which you should be addressing, and the Commissioner of the Building Commission should be addressing as soon as possible.
Mr. Chaco.
My last thing is,
Mr. Chaco, we are addressing the safety issues. I understand you have strong opinions. I don't know if they're political in nature. But I do know that it's safe. Mr. Chaco is a member of a political activist.
Everybody's a member of a party. That's ridiculous.
Excuse me, we'll have order in this room.
That is
my last request is taxpayers.
But the answer to your question, because when you present an idea out there to the public, there's a certain level of responsibility.
There is.
That has to
Public
follow.
safety.
And we are taking that very seriously. The parking garage is safe for the public to be walking and parking in it at this time. We are continuing to work on this to protect the taxpayers. The structural integrity has been proven to be safe. It is
Structural integrity, yes, but I'm talking about other systems.
Yes, we are.
I'm talking about other systems, Supervisor. The
Yes,
carbon
I
monoxide
understand
detection system hasn't been changed. It says so in this RFP. 5 years for one detector. Have those detectors been changed?
Let's ask the Commissioner to come up. Just a moment.
Okay.
Since you've made accusations, serious accusations,
Yes.
and you have told us you're a professional.
Yes.
And professionals have
We have an obligated duty,
an obligation to tell the truth.
Yes.
So let's get that question answered once and for
Are they
all.
accusations or questions?
Commissioner, the carbon monoxide detectors, are they checked? Are they reliable? Is the public safe from carbon monoxide poisoning?
They have been checked. They do go off every once in a while. We do check them again and reset them. And then also we have changed several.
And under your professional opinion, are they operating? And can the public be assured of a high level of safety from carbon monoxide poisoning?
Yes, they can.
Thank you, Commissioner.
We will, and this is going to just check the system in the future, so that we have a better, might have a better system.
Thank you, Commissioner.
My last thing is, we should make a walk-on resolution right now, and the town clerk should vote on this, is that we should not allow any of those contractors that worked on this garage to work on anything that town has to offer in the future. This includes all the engineers, all the contractors.
Why don't we wait until we find the result of this investigation out and find out who's at fault before we make such a broad statement?
Well, you said you were going after everybody before. We had a walk-on resolution to go
We
after.
said before
Mr.
that
Chaco.
litigation would determine who's responsible.
Mr. Chaco, as I mentioned in the beginning, this is a public hearing.
Right.
It is for us to listen, not a back and forth with
I understand, no
accusations.
problem.
Provide information, and we are very happy to listen
No
to it
problem.
within the designated amount of time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's it.
Our next speaker will be Paul Molinari of Hicksville. Mr. Molinari, how are you today?
I'm well, Supervisor.
How's that arm? Is it feeling better?
Yep, the cast comes off tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Good luck. I hope you have 100% back very, very soon.
Thank you. I only put down one resolution, but I want to address the parking garage and the sidewalk replacement.
Certainly.
Many of the board members have heard this before, but I would like to state it. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New York since 1976. I graduated Stony Brook University with honors. I graduated Cornell University for a master's degree in environmental engineering with honors. So I just wanted to know, excuse me, the board members have heard it. You may have not, I've been attending this board meeting for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years. So I would like to first address the sidewalk resolution. The statement was made, how do I know about this information? Well, I've been attending these meetings for 4 or 5 years. The sidewalk replacement was an issue that the town had, a program the town had on the books for many years. Last year, the town decided to eliminate that as a cost-saving measure. So I was here at those hearings. I heard that information. I recalled that information. So when I came up before the board and at that time, I had asked when we were voting on changing the program, eliminating the subsidized sidewalk replacement program, I had asked at that time, was the board going to honor their commitments that they've made to the citizens who've already signed up for the sidewalk replacement? And the answer was from everybody, yes. So I recalled all that information. So when the board, when that resolution came up in March, whenever it was, I raised the same questions, I supported it because I knew about it. I had recalled that information because I had inquired about it in the past. As for the parking garage, back in September, when the board, I think it was in September, when the board authorized the evaluation of the parking garage, at that time, I think I made a statement and said it had to go forward, but I actually thought it would be more prudent that an independent engineer evaluate the parking garage. Now, I worked for engineering firms, I worked for the federal government, I worked in the construction industry. I'm not an expert in construction because my background is in environmental engineering. So, I have a little bit of experience in doing, so I did inspections of federal construction projects, multi-million projects, Southwest Sewer District. I was the federal inspector on it for many years. I was a federal inspector on the Nassau County treatment plants. So I do know a little bit about concrete. But I will not really express an opinion on that. That's why I had back then in September, I said that we should have an independent engineer. I support the town board and the way it's proceeding, that it's hiring an independent engineer. You have to hire, because I was involved in construction.
I only get 10 minutes.
Excuse me.
I have 2.5 minutes left.
Mr. Molinari is speaking. Go ahead, Mr. Molinari.
I was involved in federal construction claims when I was in the construction program. Yes, you do need an expert lawyer in that area.
Thank you,
to
Mr.
help you
Molinari.
evaluate, to find who's the responsible parties and whether they should be held accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We really appreciate your support of our initiatives. Thank you. Okay, that's all of our speakers on the resolution. If there are no others, I believe we're ready to take a vote.
Motion was made by Councilman Muscarella, seconded by Councilman McIntyre. On the vote, Supervisor Saladino.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Please talk slow. Councilman McIntyre.
No on P11.
Hold on. Go ahead. Next.
TF6, no. No on 229, there's no backup, there was no cost in the resolution. No on 244. No on 249. And for the same reason, no on 254, there was no backup in the resolution. I'm not voting on one-page resolutions any longer. I am the rest.
Thank you. Councilman Casciano?
I'm sorry, I'm just looking for one resident.
That's okay.
There would have been one second.
Take your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Just went off.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm sorry, I got confused with another rest. No on 251, I am all the rest. Thank you. Sorry for the delay.
Councilwoman West.
No on 244.
244.
I am the rest.
Councilwoman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Rhoda.
I on all.
Bear with me. Motion to adopt resolution P 11-17 passes with 5 ayes and 1 nay. TF 617 passes with 6 ayes. I'm sorry, 6 ayes and 1 nay. 229 passes with 6 ayes and 1 nay. 230 to 236 passes with 7 ayes. 237 was tabled. 238 to 243 passes with 7 ayes. 244 passes with 5 ayes and 2 nays. 245 through 248 passes with 7 ayes. 249 passes with 6 ayes and 1 nay. 250 passes with 7 ayes. 251, 6 ayes and 1 nay. 252 and 253 with 7 ayes. 254 passes with 6 ayes and 1 nay. And to go back, 229 passes with 6 ayes and 1 nay.
Look at him sweating.
Okay, Supervisor, the action calendar is complete.
Look, he's sweating.
Okay, yes,
It's a tough meeting.
thank you. 126 and 130 passes with 7 ayes. Now the action calendar is complete.
Now, can you say the names of the personnel and the positions, please?
Sure.
Transparency.
Can we ask Vicki to come forward, please?
Vicky Spinelli.
Please provide the public with the position change and the name. It's important to point out that the town has reduced its workforce over the course of time by about 200 positions. So what the town has been doing is moving people around and changing some of their responsibilities to cover the responsibilities of those who have been moved out or have retired. In that process, we must adhere to civil service law so that our employees are working under titles that reflect their responsibilities. The vast majority of these movements are because we are complying with civil service law, complying with our union contract, and are ensuring that the responsibilities match the titles of our employees, which is our responsibility to comply with. Could you just give us a list of the names and the title change?
And the salary.
And the salary increase?
Is that public information?
Oh, don't be transparent.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So you want the name, the new title, and the amount of the increase?
Yes.
Anthony Antonucci, Equipment Operator 3, an increase of $1,892. James Danucci, Equipment Operator 2, an increase of $988. David Donorama, Equipment Operator 2, $1,018. Jason Faison, Equipment Operator 2, $1,018. It's Jay Ferrari, I don't recall the first name. But it's Equipment Operator 2, $1,077. Daniel Foy, Maintenance Mechanic 2, increase of $1,131. Marie Gambino, Clerk 2, $1,234. PJ Gardino, no increase, just a title change. Greg Mangino, Administrative Assistant to the Town Supervisor, $9,000. Kim Melworm.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that last one, please?
$1,139. Darren Munson, Groundkeeper 2, $707. Christopher Alton, Equipment Operator 1, $889. Michael Papa is a new hire, for $40,000 salary.
New hire.
Sherry Porter, Clerk 2, $1,616. Stephen Reddington, Maintenance Carpenter,
Listen.
$5,894. For the record, he was a laborer previously, and now he's going into a specified title of a carpenter. Angela Riccardi, no salary change, just a change of title, putting her back in her original title. James, I think, Swinnock, Maintenance Mechanic 2, $287. Joseph Rondinelli, Messenger, increase of $511. Brian Zanetti, Department Transfer, decrease from an Equipment Operator 1 to a Laborer 2 with a decrease of $1,371.
Thank you very much, Vicki.
Who got the $9,000 raise? I couldn't hear him. Assistant to the supervisor, $9,000? Wow.
To provide you with a break now as we're done with the action calendar. The doctor clearly needs a break. This time we go ahead and we'll have you come back for the work session.
Wow, $9,000 raise?
Speakers on public comment.
We're on break, right? $9,000 raise for the supervisor's assistant. Wow. No wonder he didn't want to read it out loud. Yeah. Oh, shit.
Paul know anything about that.
Our first speaker will be Denise Tufano from Woodbury. Hi, how are you today?
Okay, thank you.
Could you just state repeat your name and your address?
Sure. My name is Denise Tufano. I live in Woodbury, New York. I'm here today because of a very disturbing situation that's occurred. I've always supported all of you here up on the board. I like the fact that you are discussing transparency. However, I feel extremely violated. There has not been any transparency in what has transpired with me. I come home one day to find a cell tower on my front lawn. I had to make numerous phone calls to find out what this was, first of all. I don't understand how, out of consideration that I wasn't even notified, didn't even know what it was, and my whole neighborhood has been saturated with them. It's not just me. We've all gotten together, and this is going to be an action that we're going to be taking together. But there is at least 6 alone, and I understand more to come.
It won't be more to come.
Well, Matthew Rosea said he approved 32.
What we're doing is greatly changing the way the town deals with these. The town of Oyster Bay, just like every other municipality in the United States of America, has to comply with federal law. And this is a bad news, good news story. The bad news is the town must comply, and the federal law, which we don't set, has mandated that the town can't deny these based on health issues or the appearance of them. What we have done because of this fact, the town sued the providers back in 1999. There was 17 different municipalities who sued and had to spend money on legal costs and go through the whole process to try to stop them. All of the municipalities, I believe there were just 1 or 2, a very short, small number, passed for unusual.
Some municipalities were able to not allow them, and I don't know why the town of Oyster Bay hasn't done that for us.
Because we don't have the right to. I don't want these in residential neighborhoods. So the actions that I've taken, now I've only been here 3 months, but the actions that I've taken is we have fired off letters to our federal representatives asking them to begin a new study because we don't believe that a 1996 study...
It's a little late. I appreciate it, but...
That's not all we're doing, though.
This should have been done before they were up. You know, we ask questions later. I have 3 daughters in the house. I'm concerned. If you come to my house and take a look, I have a large investment in my home.
Yes.
Real estate agents have said this is going to impact the value, okay?
Yes.
That's secondary to the health.
Who represents you in the federal government? Who's your congressman where you live?
I guess it's Schumer? No, he's the senator.
Federal U.S. Senator. We've written to Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, Congressman Swazi, and Congressman King. We don't like the fact that federal government is forcing this on our communities, and it's not right.
I think I heard you say that on TV.
However, what we're going to
don't you have any say? It is your town. Can't you have a say to put them on the outskirts, on the main roads, as opposed to a completely residential block?
What we're doing...
And there's so many together.
What we're announcing, and I'll announce it today to you, to the media, to the public, we are going to stop providing any right for them to enter town property as of this moment forward, which we may end up with them taking action because the companies who install these have not allowed the town any input to their location. They have not given any consideration to the residents, neighborhoods, the fact that these are near our children. And we're putting a stop to it. Having said that,
well, I'm glad to hear that.
They're going to go...
What happens to the one that's on my lawn now?
What we're going to do is we're going to demand that the FCC visit your home and take readings so we can see if there is any strong signal coming from these devices. We are using every means we have, although the federal
We have
government...
it moved. I would like it moved. I just
that's
don't
what
know
we
why I
will-
have to deal with
Then
this.
that's what we will demand
I'm a
of
resident
them.
here, I need you. I need you to be my advocate, and I've come to feel like you've been my adversary.
But we're not. We
Well,
will be.
it's sitting
We
there,
are your
people
advocate.
walk and they stop and they look up.
I understand
If
that.
I ever wanted
I
to
have them
sell,
on my
what's that
street
gonna
too.
do?
I have them on my street too. We all do. We understand that.
Do you have it in front of your house?
It's very close to my house. But the point is that we are stopping giving them permission to access town property, even though the federal government says that we have to, because we are taking a very strong stand so that we have a role in the
This
placement
is
of these.
beginning today, now, we're not gonna see these trucks in our neighborhoods anymore.
We're going to stop giving them the permits to access town property. We are demanding of our
This is what
federal...
I don't understand. You're saying two different things here.
Town-
You're saying that the federal government, you have no right,
That's
okay,
true.
but now, on the other hand, you've given them permits.
We are going to take a very aggressive stand. The town has lost the lawsuit fighting these, but we are still going to take the position that the federal government based their law on a study completed prior to 1996.
Which is
Technology
what should have been
has
done.
changed, right? Technology has changed since then.
Can we get mine moved?
We will demand that of them.
I would really appreciate it moved off my property
We will
because I am
demand
very
that.
concerned. And I wanted to make another point. I don't know how much
Please.
consideration was given when these permits were initially signed. Because, for instance, I live on a hill, okay? So, naturally it was put down at the bottom of the hill. I have a ranch. So by the time this thing reaches its height of 35 feet, okay, which I understand Matthew took it down from 50, it might have been actually better at 50 feet, okay? And I don't know what the law is, and I'm still investigating the actual laws of what is required. But at 35 feet at the bottom of my hill, that's not very much higher than my house, which means whatever is emitting, okay, and we know they do emit radiation, okay? Whatever is emitting is now coming almost directly to my
I
home
don't-
rather than 50 feet in the air.
You can feel confident that the waves of energy that come out of these do not go in a straight line. They emit out in every direction. So
We
the
know that, but
height,
if my house is here and the thing is here, you know,
I understand the
it's
feeling.
common sense, and I don't think you'd like it, never mind looking at it, but just to have that there.
Matt, have we shown her a copy of the law? Let's give her a copy of the federal law. We will partner with you, and we ask you to partner with us to stand up to the federal government,
I've
stand up
done
to
my
our-
part, I've written the letters, I've done my part, but I just hope that you do what you need to do. You have to take action. You have the power up there more than me right now.
We are
With the
taking that
government.
action. We are taking that action. We will demand that they move this from in front of your home. We will stop providing permits while the company that installs them gives us no right, gives us no interaction to decide where they go. I am as outraged as you are. I've done the research. I saw the findings of the American Cancer Society. I saw the research on there. I believe, and many of us believe, that the technology is greatly different than it was. In addition to
In
that,
what way?
well, you
Different
know
in
of
what
the
way?
commercials, 3G versus 4G. So the technology on cell phones has changed since the 1990s when the health study was done. So we want to know, I mean, it's common sense,
But,
right?
you know, it's always hindsight. We should have done this before.
We have.
Before
The town
on
sued.
properties.
We did. The town sued the federal government and lost that case like so many other municipalities
How
across
did Laurel
America.
Hollow manage to keep it out? Because they're a incorporated village?
I don't believe
The
so.
other thing, I know that you guys are getting kickbacks from.
No, that's an outrageous statement.
They told us
That's-
that.
they-
They
well,
told us that
wait,
because
wait.
they are leasing
Who said this?
the guy working on this street.
Give us a name of somebody who made such an outrageous lie. We want to work with you to get rid of the clowns who would make those kind of statements to the
It's
public.
town property, it's your property, because it's the first 10 feet, and I believe that's yours.
Absolutely
Not mine. And
wrong.
you're leasing it to them.
Is it? It's,
We're trying to be on your side.
I want you to be on my side.
we are trying.
We're not.
Like I said, I've always supported every single one of you up there.
But this is our
And I'm
responsibility
just
to the
asking for
public.
your help now.
And we're trying to give you that help. We are stopping providing permits. We are demanding that the company take that down from in front of your home. We are demanding of our federal representatives, we ask you to partner with us to get the message across. We have a member of the media here. The message has to get across to Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, and our congressional representatives to change the law to give our municipalities, including the town of Oyster Bay, the right to decide where is appropriate and where is not appropriate, and to commence a study immediately so we can all have a new study to base this on. I don't think a study concluded prior to 1996 is appropriate for today.
I had an attorney tell me, because I did consult an attorney, he said I wouldn't live within 1,500 feet of it.
The attorney, what does your doctor say? I mean, we have to, you know what? We want this study so we can get the facts to you and to everyone else. That's only reasonable.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear what you have said. I really do hope this happens sooner rather than later.
Well, we have immediately stopped providing permits.
I know you'll be in my neighborhood in a week or so, so I look forward to speaking to you again, and maybe it'll be down. And I've invited you to my home, any one of you. I really don't think any one of you would like it at their house. If you looked at it, I think you'd all agree, I'm not an unreasonable person.
Would you mind giving your address again?
Sure, it's 26 Elm Street.
We are taking a very aggressive stand against these.
Well,
You live across from Craig,
yeah, they're very good friends of mine.
but he's 25.
25, yeah,
And
and that's the other issue. I have a lot of good friends on the block. No one wants it. There's about 6 right in my immediate area. And it's not a large area, and they put 6 up. So my question is, great, you know, you're telling me we'll try to get it moved, we'll get it moved. Where? You know, to a friend of mine's house? Do you know what I'm saying? And then what?
I do know what you're saying. We understand. We will partner with you.
There are 3, and I mentioned this to Matthew, there are 3 Nassau County reservoirs. Put it there. There's no house there. I don't want,
This is
listen,
exactly
my
what we're
community
doing.
doesn't want it. We don't want it.
We get it.
But if it had to be-
Like we're the ones who did this.
We're not doing
But
this.
you did. I'm sorry, Councilman. You signed the permit. You signed the permit.
Federal law that controls.
But
what the
then
town's
get an
allowed.
engineer, okay? Get
We wish
an
the town
engineer,
was
follow
controlled.
these guys and say, hey, listen, this is gonna look like hell here. Put it here. Where's the common sense? That's all I ask.
We agree with you 100%, and we ask you to join with us. And we have the media here. Just raise your hand, please, would you, Ted? See this gentleman right here? He's going to write a story, and we are going to be in that story demanding Senator Gillibrand, Senator Schumer, and our congressional representatives change the law. We have had it with them. Ted, you writing?
Yes, right.
Teddy writing?
Ted, we want this article to state we have had it with them, and we're demanding the law be changed so our local municipalities can finally get control.
It's a double-edged sword with the media. Do I want to advertise what's
We
happening?
agree 100% on that one.
Well, different reasons. Do I want to advertise what's happening in our community so that everyone knows, well, we don't want to live there? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, but we have to get the law changed. It's not the town of Oyster Bay law, it's the federal government. We
And how long
challenge
is
that
that
law.
going to take? You know?
We'll have to ask Ted, we'll have to ask Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand, but we're on your side. And let's correct something. They lied to you when they told you there was a kickback involved.
Well, I was told that's why it wasn't put on the Nassau County Reservoir, because that was Nassau County as opposed
Please
to
let
town
us
of
know
Oyster
who
Bay.
said that. because they lied to you. There's been a lot of that going on the last couple of weeks.
Oh, I want to believe you. I want to believe you. So I'll leave it at that, but I just ask if you could, I'll leave you a little letter that I wrote. It has my information in it, myself, my husband. Thank you very much. And yeah, we can start by moving some.
We will be demanding that of them.
There's a lot of young children in the neighborhood. It's a young area.
That's why we want to work with the FCC to get the medical data out, to start making sure the public sees that data and holding their feet to the fire.
Well, okay, that's all I can ask right now, and like I said, you have my information, and I look forward to seeing that pole moved. And please consult me as to where.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Contacting you very soon.
We'll be seeing you next week at our community meeting.
Looking forward to it.
Alrighty, thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Yes, would you like to speak? Come on forward. Come on forward. It's obviously on this subject.
Yes.
Please.
I'm sorry because I didn't write anything down. My name is Margaret Eaton from Hicksville Garden Civic Association. I just would like to clarify the frustration that I have, and I need clarification because I'm confused.
Okay.
Because you have stated up to now that it's a federal law and we have no say in that.
That's correct.
However, you did say that you approved the permits.
No, the town didn't approve the
But
permits.
you
The
granted.
town board did not.
Who did? Who? That's a question. And who granted the permits?
After consultation, well, you know what, I wasn't here at the time, so let's ask someone, because this process has been going on way before the 3 months since I got here. Okay, so that's what is factually going on. Do we have Mr. Bishop here?
Okay.
Commissioner Lenz? He's outside. Please ask him to step inside.
I just,
So
while
what?
we're waiting, Supervisor, I do think when you come up, Margaret, we have to note that you're a member of the Ethics Board. I just feel like it should be.
Well, I'm not
I know that.
representing that.
I
I'm
know.
representing myself here.
I know, I just think it
It's
should be
fine.
noted when you
Don't
come
lose
up.
your, thank you. You don't lose your rights as a resident, it's just for full transparency.
So that's the question
Mr.
I
Bishop,
asked.
Mr. Bishop, when did the town make the decision to provide access permits through the highway department?
Anything within the right of way has always been an ordinance law for any utility company to utilize the highway right of way, which is from the curb side.
Can't hear.
Are you familiar, please step up. Are you familiar with the federal regulations concerning the siting of cell phone repeaters?
That project had come to light about 7 or 8 months ago. It was being handled through the supervisor's office at that time, where the utility companies were putting in requests for permits for various locations throughout the town.
Okay, well, I just want to make this absolutely clear. Under this administration, and I know your department knows this already because we let them know, but I want to do this publicly. Going forward, we are to stop providing the right-of-way for cell companies to install repeaters because of the fact that the installation companies are not allowing the town or its residents input as to where they're going.
At this point, there are 30 applicants that had come in, and I had stopped them immediately.
Good.
Because I'd gotten new complaints from the residents.
And I want that, and you got the word from my office
Correct.
to stop providing access.
When we were going through that process, because the ones that were installed at this past, I'd say 3 weeks, 4 weeks' time, were ones that were approved under the prior administration.
Thank you, Mr.
Do we
Bishop.
know how many went up?
I believe from the last count, there was about 15 of them that were being installed. And from what I can tell, I did go and look at one of the locations from one of the residents I spoke to. It's a box that's towards the base of a pole or in the utility, and then the transfers up on the top.
Is a new procedure they're doing within the companies? Is this some new
It was something that the utility companies and the cell companies had brought to the table under the prior administration. And because it is within the highway right-of-way, there's a permit that has to be obtained. But other than obtaining the permit for a utility company, that has always been part of the local law, that the utility company is able to use the right-of-way for electric.
Is it normal and are they that callous and insensitive that they would put up a pole in the middle of somebody's property in front of their property interfering with the use and enjoyment of their property?
To be honest with you, 30 years of my employment with the town of Oyster Bay, I've never seen it ever happen. With the growing demand of self-service, this is the
It
first.
sounds absolutely ridiculous in today's day and age that somebody should endure what she's enduring.
Right. And
Outrageous
to
function
have,
would be self-place.
when I did receive the calls, I did make it clear to them that I apologize on behalf of the town because the homeowner should be notified by the utility company that this is their plan and intention and get some sort of a sign-off or approval before a permit is authorized for them to
Mr.
have.
Bishop, we are going to put a stop to
What's
this.
the timeframe that these items to sprout out within the community?
Yeah, I would say it's been within the past 3 months.
3 months.
3 months.
Is a specific company that's doing it?
There are two specific companies. I don't know the names off the top of my head, but I
Crown
know.
Castle was
Yes,
the one
Crown
that
Castle.
was the one for me.
Right.
Mr. Bishop, can I just ask you, just to clarify for everyone, the permit that you issued is a permit just to grant access to the right-of-way. That's not a permit to install it.
Right.
We're not telling them where to put it. We're not saying they can or should put it there. We're just granting them access to
Because the highway right-of-way in our ordinance allows for the utility companies to install electric, cable, all essential services to people's homes.
What happens if we don't grant that permit?
Well, having a cell tower is not, it's not something that's essential. It's not like your electric or your gas or your water company or things that a house needs to run. A cell tower is not, or a cell repeater is not something that's essential for the homeowner to have. And, you know, but they're.
What happens legally if we don't grant the permit? Do they just go and do it anyway? Do they sue us?
No, I would assume because there is a right-of-way, it would have to be taken up with town attorney's office and have a.
Can we revoke the permit since it's non-essential utility?
Well, the ones that I have held have not gone any further. Once I realized what was going on, because, like I said, it was prior to any of my knowledge, it was something that they came in.
Can those be revoked?
If they haven't been, I can check and see how many.
Please
have been
do that
installed.
immediately and revoke or stop any permit
Yeah,
that has been
I'll
issued.
put a freeze to anything that hasn't
Please,
gone.
make that call immediately after you've answered the board's questions.
What is the issue with the height requirement? The height requirement, I understand, I've heard various, again,
Well,
35, 50 feet, is it, do we have control over what we grant?
that was
The
not.
federal law trumps our building code, that's the problem with the height
With the height requirement.
50 feet.
It's 50 feet they're required to be, but these are 35 feet, so can we get them revoked because they're not in compliance?
Again, it's something that I'll stop whatever it
I
is.
think we should try.
Councilwoman, there's been various reference to a 50-foot requirement. I've not yet found it in the law.
It's in the Telecommunications Act of 1966. Says it very clearly.
Yeah,
But we're working with the 1996 Act.
That's what I said, 96.
It sounded like 66.
Or maybe I made a mistake, but it's in
And
the
that's
act.
wherein the federal law trumps our building
It
code.
says 50 to 200 feet.
Yeah, I've not found that
It's right on the first page of the act.
But if they're not in compliance with that requirement, they're violating federal law, they're not violating a town ordinance.
Right.
But we don't tell them where to put it, we don't tell them how high to put it.
And the only permits we issue are the right-of-way permits, that's it?
That's it.
Who enforces the height requirement, do you know? Does the FCC enforce it, do they issue citations if you don't meet it?
I'm not aware, I don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop.
I know we did hold up about 30 once we
So
were over
please
there.
call over to your office,
Yeah, I'll do it now.
stop any permit whatsoever on this immediately, and if we have the ability to revoke anything that's left the office, do
If we
that.
can retract any that have been put out there, and I'll deal with the
Please.
town attorney's office on making that.
Please do that immediately. Is this a private company that's benefiting from the installation? Is Crown Castle, is it?
Yes, I believe Crown Castle is, they're like the middleman.
So since they're a private company and hoping to do further construction within our township, perhaps we can make them wise to the fact that they probably won't be doing more unless they can make the 15, that exists palatable to our residents.
Exactly. Okay. Yes, well, I'll get your information and I'll contact you directly and proceed from there. Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Just in closing, I think we do have a responsibility to check on these things before they happen. Now, Councilwoman Brody, you did say that we don't tell them where to put these towers.
We don't have the right to.
We don't have the right to, but I think we do have the right to question it. So I think that's where we failed in the beginning. I think going forward, we need to take the responsibility to question these things before it happens. And I think it's been agreed upon. But again, I think we have to look at those people that have been now in this situation.
Yes, just so you know, the town has questioned them, and the town has taken them to court, as well as municipalities across our nation. But we will continue to fight this. We are very motivated to stop them. We have called on our federal officials. We are demanding that they change the law to empower us to stop them and to decide where they go and where they do not go, and none of us believe they should be going in front of someone's home. In addition, we've called on a new study to look at the science as it relates to the new technologies that are currently being used, so we can look at the science and understand what the threat is and to what degree. And we're also calling on the FCC to go to these neighborhoods with their meters and check to see what the output is, the RF output is from these devices. Compare that in front of the resident to a cell phone so people can get a better understanding of what the RF output is. But we will, and obviously you heard, we are denying them access. And then we'll take this up with our highway department and our town attorney's office to continue whatever we can do to fight them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next speaker is Robert Ripp, representing himself.
Hello, I'm from Robert Ripp from Massapequa, a couple of interests. Now, Mr. Saldino, I noticed on one of your old assembly promotions that you had down that you continue to assist people dealing with the ravages of Superstorm Sandy and getting the New York Rising Awards. I have some information that I received through the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery, which is indicative that it appears that you applied and received New York State Rising Grant Fund Awards. And I'm curious because when you speak about transparency and openness, and I put a FOIL request in on your property. When we're neighbors, I don't understand.
Just
I have 5 minutes, please don't interrupt.
Just tell me
Please don't
which
interrupt.
item
No, I'm not going to
this
tell
is
you
related
anything.
to.
You're wasting my time as usual. You do this all the time. It's a defensive act that you have.
Sir,
Yes.
sir.
Please stop the
I'm
clock.
trying to understand and put this in perspective. I know that you are a candidate.
Excuse me. You are using my time for your dribble. Stop, okay?
Excuse me,
Why don't you be transparent? If that's the way you want, if I have to come up here and argue with you, I don't want to. I want to speak to you like a human being.
No
If
one
I have to
wants
argue,
to
why
argue.
don't you be transparent and let me see your building file to see how you're coming into compliance? You're denying my FOIL request. Okay, I don't think as a resident I should have to argue and speak over you. I have 5 minutes and you'll cut me off when the time is up. Okay? I'd like to know if you received New York State Rising grants, and if you did, how you got them, because you don't have any building permits. To move on, someday you may answer that, someday you won't. Okay? Now, if we can move on in a civilized manner without you interrupting me. I was over at the Lidauer estate yesterday. I'd like to say that the place really looks great. It's a real big difference.
Thank
As a matter
you
of
for
fact,
the compliment.
I'm not complimenting you. Okay? What I'd like to say, though, is for well over 2 years, I've been trying to get information regarding the New York State grant, that was $250,000 grant that was used on the North Barn, and the $25,000 match grant that was used on trees and planting there. I have a whole stack of emails from Andy Rothstein. Andy knows I've been asking him for this for a number of years. He refuses to cooperate and to provide me the information. Yes, Andy, don't say no. If you'd like me to foil it, if that's what it comes to, that's what I have to do. But as a resident, excuse me, you're interrupting me again. As a resident, I think that I should be able to review those contracts and understand what's going on. I think if you were transparent, you would allow that. I'd like to know what's happening with the $300,000 that horrendous thing owes us. So, back in July, Town Attorney Frank Scalera made a comment that we plan on collecting the money, but I haven't heard anything since.
Stay tuned to the media, and that question will be asked to you.
I got a chance to stop over at 180, at Ships Point Lane, and again, this is something that I don't understand why FOIL requests are needed. right? You're gonna do some work there. I'm gonna have some video coming out. There's a lot of questionable stuff going on. Number one, there's a storm grate at the end of that street, so that's county property, okay? Number two, half of the seawall belongs to a local resident there. It's just, like, whether or not the work needs to be done, whether or not, what that story is, the bottom line is, you're not being transparent, allowing anyone to look at
Actually, we are,
this.
sir. You brought this up at the last meeting.
Yes, and you know what? You denied my FOIL request for the same material. You're not being transparent.
Questions, and yet that didn't satisfy you because now you're back making the same claims when you proved.
Yes, because you refused to answer my FOIL request. I haven't seen any of the records. I haven't seen any of the material that explains exactly. I don't know what you're doing at Ships Point Lane. Nobody knows. All we know is that you're doing a bulkhead over there. You're doing a thing. The last thing I want to bring your attention is, because I'm running out of time because you keep interrupting me, is, listen, I have these town of voice
Only interrupt.
you're very rude, sir. You're very rude. These are the town of voice debate vehicle master inquiries for the stage trailers that the town has. These are the trailers that you utilize to promote yourself. And what's really strange is, I don't know if any of you have ever looked at the cost of these things, but we're spending a ton of money in parts and labor, and even fuel, which I don't understand because these things are all towed. For instance, you got a one-stage trailer that we bought, and it's a 95. We paid $60,000 for it, and these are from 2015, okay? I haven't gotten any updated ones. Mr. Vendetto gave me these back in 2015 in his clubhouse in Massapequa. This trailer from 95, we spent over $100,000 on the thing already. The newest trailer that we have is a 206. All right, we paid $114,000 on it in 2006, and yearly to date, between parts, labor, and fuel, we spent over $20,000 on it. I mean, I have an RV, I trailer, I do most of the maintenance myself. I haven't spent any money like this at all. I'd like to know who's doing this work and what exactly is being done. This is more stuff that I imagine we could foil.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Saladino. Maybe you'll answer those questions about your permits and your rising stuff someday.
It's important to point out the previous speaker is a candidate for office and has used this podium and this.
Why is it important to point that out? You do the same.
Inappropriately. Our next speaker is Stephen Myers of Syosset. Hi, Mr. Myers.
Hi, Supervisor and Board. Thank you for the time. I'm going to tell you a little story. I'll be really brief as possible, but I think it's important that you all know this story. This is a success story about this board. About 2008, let me just first say, so I'm Steve Myers from Syosset, New York, and I represent the Southwood Circle Association. We are the 600 homes behind the DPW yard on Miller Place, you're familiar with. So, in 2008, and I'll be brief, there was heavy construction going on. The town had given a permit to Laser Industries that was in charge of the construction of concrete, and they had turned the yard basically into a concrete waste recycling facility, as some of you remember. Okay. 2 years we approached the board. We needed to come up with a resolution. Well, what's the problem? The problem is you've got heavy payloaders with backup beepers all day, and guess what? Even at night, the brother of Laser Industries would hop on a heavy payloader at 10:30 at night to knock down a pile. It was insane. 2 years it took. Finally, we had a successful resolution thanks to the board at the time. They moved Laser Industries, and we helped do this. We said, why are you doing heavy payload, waste recycling activities here? You have a Bethpage facility. It's further away from neighbors. We're 300 feet from where these payloaders. I will tell you right now, what time is it? It's about 1 o'clock. They're on lunch break. It's happening right now this morning. This concerns me. It started up again. Now we've had years of, you haven't seen me talk about this in years, folks. We've had years of relative peace and quiet and quality of life because of this. Last week, kicked up again. Now we live right next to this border, so we see what's going on. Big sand piles again, heavy payloader activity, what's going on. I put a call into Commissioner Lenz, who doesn't know me, because the last time we had to talk about this, it was Kevin Hannafin. I did not get a call back. I put another call in this morning. I don't know, he's here today. So,
Someone get Mr. Lenz, please, and bring him in the room.
what I'm hoping, Supervisor, is this is a temporary activity. My fear is it's not. We are returning to some kind of waste recycling operation. This property needs to be light utility. We're too close to the residents, and we have families, dads, moms, kids, all day, the heavy rumble. It's kicked up again. I'm just hoping that the board could help us. Is this temporary, or are we back to the old, ruining the resolution which we solved this problem years ago? It's back. So I ask, Supervisor, can we get to the bottom of this? Can someone tell me what's going on? Is this temporary, or do we need to begin the campaign?
Let's get you some relief, and I want to thank you very much for handling yourself in a very professional manner.
Thank you, Supervisor. I appreciate that.
Kindly take your seat, and we will get right to this. Commissioner Lenz, is this activity going on?
Sit here in case you have a question.
When the resident called, I was not aware of it. We were looking into it. First of all, let me back up a second. Laser Industries is not doing any work there at all. That's still part of the same agreement that was made. What we are doing now is Highways trying to clean up in the back there. We have a lot of stuff back there, you know, piles and stuff like that. We're trying to clean the area up and bring some of the stuff forward more to our other facilities. So that was a direction that we were going.
I would like this done in a way that continues to provide peace and tranquility of that neighborhood.
I do understand, yes.
How much time will it take to get this job done so these residents can enjoy their homes?
We were thinking about another week.
Can it be done in half of that time?
We will do the best we can.
Is there any time beyond working hours, after 5 p.m., that they're using heavy equipment?
There had been sometimes even on weekends.
I would like that to come to an
realize
end.
now, yes it will, sir.
Okay, we have to respect these residents, we have to respect their rights, and I want to make sure that's being done. And sir, would you kindly get back to me so we get your eyes and ears on the site to ensure that my request is being complied with?
Absolutely. If I just may say also, to the credit of the board, we had established a liaison between Kevin Hannafin at the time and myself, and I communicate back to our group. Something would be going on, I would call Kevin, hey, the neighbors are complaining, and they would inform us, oh, this is something that's one day, there was a storm, whatever. If we could also reestablish this new tie with the new administration,
Absolutely.
So moving forward, I can be assured and our group can be assured that we're doing the best we can.
That's an entirely reasonable request. I'd like you to be the point person, and I would like you to please also commit the name of another administrator there, so if the resident or residents can't get in touch with you immediately, they can be assured during working hours that they can get in touch with someone else. And if it is not if it's not within working hours, I'd like you to, is Commissioner McCaffrey here? Commissioner McCaffrey, please coordinate, if you go in the back of the room and also speak to the commissioner, so that if it's not during working hours, you can call public safety, where we do have a 24-hour access to the town, and we can get this done immediately. And if there's a problem, Commissioner, call me no matter what time it is, so I can get this resolved personally. Okay?
Thank you very much, board.
Thank you very much for your professionalism in coming forward. Our next speaker is Kevin McKenna.
Congratulations. Great job. It's fun. Good.
I want to wait them.
You did that on purpose for the second time. I'm waiting for him to come back. No, I'm waiting for him to come back.
He does it all the time. He walks out on Kevin all the time.
Transparency and ethics, that's very rude. I have to go to the bathroom myself right now, but I'm sitting here. Professional?
It's on his, it's on you, it's on you, okay? Be professional.
I wanted to make a suggestion I forgot earlier. You know, the lot at Allen, is there any way that we could maybe pave that and use that for temporary with a shuttle for the garage in the interim for people, like we gave up the 78 park lots, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we would have, it couldn't really cost that much if we would have just paved it and then maybe run a shuttle for residents. It's only a couple blocks from the Hicksville garage. I wanted to mention earlier and I forgot.
It's not a bad idea.
Maybe, you have it in your head now, so.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Thank you. They did it the correct way. They said they had the docket, remember docket today's date, and they read it in and everything. They did that on purpose so they could say, oh, we followed the law, but we got the resolution passed without anybody understanding. They could have, they didn't know. There is.
Our next speaker will be Eileen Valenza. Well,
I had to use the restroom.
as you're allowed to.
Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Eileen Valenza.
No, when you got up, I had to use the restroom, so I'm back.
You'd like to speak now?
I didn't speak yet. I guess you didn't realize that.
Transparency.
Okay. Kevin McKenna, Syosset, New York. I attended the last ethics board meeting, and discussion at the ethics board of the last meeting was a contact was provided by Mr. Leventhal, a contact by the name of Leslie Lazarus. I'm letting the board know that discussion was had, and Leslie Lazarus is the contact or the secretary for the public, in case you guys don't know. And I made Mr. Leventhal and the ethics board aware of the fact that the website has someone else's name on the website. And that meeting was, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. He said he was going to have that corrected. And as of this morning, there's still an incorrect name on the website. And Leslie Lazarus is still not on there. Plus discussion was had, a suggestion was made by me and prior meeting that there should be an address where you can send in an ethics complaint. And that still has not occurred. The brochure that I got in the mail the other day, which a lot of residents got, which touted ethics and transparency and talked a lot about Reclaim New York, in my opinion, it's all a great idea. It's all great, but it's smoke and mirrors. It's all smoke and mirrors. Let me finish.
Not the case. Now we're going to go down this road of accusation.
Let me finish. It's not an accusation. You tell me when I'm done if anything I say is not factual.
He gets us
Okay?
5 minutes.
You have talked earlier today at length about how you've updated the website and you've put all this information on the website in light of what Reclaim New York, you got an 80% rating. I spoke to Reclaim. And the way that you have verbalized this to the public and the media is not exactly what it is. It sounds great to the average public, but it's not what you've explained. You were not specific. You got a great rating because you have only agreed to do all these different things, and you've only agreed to put all this information on. Let me
No,
finish.
sir, this is not
You've
factual.
only agreed to put this on the website.
Mr. McKenna,
Let
we
me
sat
finish,
with,
please.
but
Let
let's
me
get
finish.
across the facts.
Let me finish and
If
you
we're
can
going to
respond.
have
Let me finish,
accusations,
please. Let me
it's
finish.
going to be
It's my
factual.
time, let me finish.
That's not factual.
Okay, you have touted the fact that, you said it earlier today, that you put all this
We
information on
met
the
with them
website.
and we showed
You
them
have two-
online.
You have 2 RFPs. I don't know whether you've ever looked at your website, but you only have 2 RFP announcements on your website. You do not have any full RFPs on your website. I'm just making you aware of this. You don't have it on the website.
So you say, sir.
You have right now an RFP out in Syosset, across from the Syosset Fire Department, which was supposed to start last year before your time, and I was told recently that that was going to be rebid for whatever the reason, the park across from the fire department.
Memorial Park.
And that RFP is supposedly, it's not on your website. All I'm saying to you is that everything that you're saying has not been done on your website. It hasn't been.
That's wrong, Mr. McKenna, that's not a factual
Tell me what's
statement.
on your website.
We're not going to go back and forth.
Tell me what's on the website.
I will tell you.
What's on the website?
That we brought them in, Mr. McKenna, and we showed them over and over the many facets that we changed and proved it to them.
But it's not on your website. It's not on your website. I'll move on. It's not on the website.
Absolutely incorrect.
It's all a great idea, and I commend you for the idea, but you have not implemented the idea yet.
We have implemented.
You have. I'm going to move over to, and here's where I'm going to ask for your support, believe it or not. The Syosset Park project, the multi-use project in Syosset. I'm glad that gentleman, I hope he's still here. He thinks he has noise right now. If they go ahead with this project, you're going to have a lot more noise. You have 2 sites there, as we all know. You have the Cerro Wire site, which, in case the board doesn't know, there is, I have it right here, there's a remedial investigation work plan that is going on right now, okay? Now, I've written to you all, there's a tremendous conflict of interest between the town of Oyster Bay and Simon and Partners, okay? A, because you sold the property to Simon, who is now applying to the town, or asking the town to review the environmental impact statement. Okay, that's a big conflict of interest because if you don't approve the environmental impact statement, then it's going to cause a problem with the deal and you might have to give back $30 million. But,
Cut off the mic on you, turn the mic off. It's another trick of Mr. Saladino's when he doesn't like the residents hear what's going on. Cut the mic off on me last meeting.
Just so you know, Rue Associates right now on the Cerro Wire site, I just found this out. There's a project going on right now where Rue Associates, which is hired by Simon, the DEC is depending upon Rue Associates right now to do testing on the Cerro Wire site as well, because last year there's still above-level contaminants on the Cerro Wire site. Okay? I'm out of time. There's a lot of issues here. I ask again for the board to, you recently talked about independent studies for the Federal Trade Commission. I ask, it's important that an independent study by an environmental consultant, they have to check, all these players are all related contractors with the town of Oyster Bay. It's in their best interest to approve everything. You have to have an independent study of this project, and let me just finish. It's important that you do it sooner than later, because the town right now is spending money having Cash and Spinelli and another firm, which I forget the name, they're right now working on this environmental impact statement, and they're wasting their time.
if you're going to consider an environmental study.
I didn't want to interrupt you, Supervisor. At the last meeting, I think it was myself.
Well, just a moment, if you would, Councilman. Thank you for that presentation. So why don't you take a seat, and the councilman will speak, but you realize your time is
No
up.
interaction, right?
Thank you very much.
What I wanted to state, Supervisor, was at the last board meeting, I believe it was Councilwoman Alessi and I both mentioned, and then we had subsequent discussion after the board meeting about the potential perceived conflict that could exist. I wrote a memo dated May 4th, and I forwarded the memo to your office with copies to the town board members. And I am concerned maybe that the town attorney can address the fact that us being a party to the sale put us in a situation where we may be in need of a completely independent third party to do an analysis. So I would just like, and I believe other board members might feel the same way, I would just like it fully examined, completely examined, that we get the best information and completely independent information for us to make the right decision.
This sounds like it would be the perfect opportunity to get opinions from not only our town attorney, but from our ethics board. Does that? And in my memo, actually, Supervisor, I think you took the words out of my mouth. In the alternative to what I requested, I'd like the ethics board to review it as well. I think it's better for all. Sure, absolutely. Thank you. We will be doing that. Our next speakers are Eileen Valenza and Barbara Enright. You'd like to come up together?
We'll talk about the same stuff.
Sure.
Good afternoon.
And you're both from Stewart Avenue in Bethpage.
Right. Good morning. Good afternoon now. My name's Eileen Valenza. I reside at 1204 Stewart Avenue, Bethpage. I've lived in the same home for over 50 years, purchasing my home for my parents. For over 40 years, the corner of Stewart Avenue and Southwest Bay Road, which is 5 houses down from where I live, has been home to a number of gas stations and automotive service stations. These businesses operated Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m., 7 p.m. Tim Zeig of your building department has been kind enough to search that this property has been zoned neighborhood business since the 1960s, whereby no hours of operation are designated for this type of a zone.
Are you talking about the north-east corner?
This is the northeast corner, correct? Correct, yes. Right now it's a vacant gas station. Okay. Remember that labels like neighborhood business were placed in the 1960s when businesses were closed on Sundays, and the only place serving customers all night was an emergency room. That's it. That's it. When the property located at, it's listed as 755 Southwest Bay Road. It's also known as 1234 Stewart Avenue. When this became available for resale, the neighbors eagerly awaited who our new neighbor would be. After seeing construction beginning 2 weeks ago at this site, I Googled the address, and what popped up did not make me sing the old jingle, oh thank heaven, 7-Eleven. But this is what had popped up on the, when I Googled it. It's an ad for, would you like to buy this franchise of 7-Eleven? For $390,000 investment. Well, the town records, right now we had called, it shows that only the permits are to do renovations on a white box retail on this corner. The owners of the property, the Denoto Group of Woodbury, confirmed for us, the neighbors, that it will be a 7-Eleven. A 24-hour retail business, we feel, has no place on this corner, operating beside and behind residential homes. It's a corner, and there's a house, there's a gas station, there's a house, there's houses behind it. I do ask the board to please review this property for what hours of operation would be fitting for a neighborhood business before the Denoto Group submits the site plan application, because they have not submitted that yet. It's closed because the foundation's being poured, probably in the next day or so. So before they put the site plan application in for specifically 7-Eleven, that's the only time you'll know then it's a 7-Eleven. We feel, I mean, a 24-hour retail business with the noise, the lights, I mean, you know 7-Eleven. If I were to have a party on my lawn with alcohol, cigarettes, corn dogs, the neighbors could call and complain, yet a business can run on my block.
Is your issue more with the hours of operation? Or
Right
the
now,
uses?
it's the hours of operation because we do not know officially it's a 7-Eleven. We just want to make sure that a neighborhood business can have a little, before the site plan application comes in, that a neighborhood business can have limited hours between residents.
Commissioner Macaron, would you please step forward? Can you please give us a step? Come on up. This is Commissioner Leslie Macaron, who heads up planning and development. Commissioner, can you give our residents a report on the status of this property?
Yes, well, this application came in January, I believe, before I was the Commissioner of Planning and Development, and the permit was for a white box retail use. The applicant has not filed a site plan application with our department as of yet. However, Deputy Commissioner Zeig has been in touch with the attorney for the applicant, and the plan is for them to file an application for a 7-Eleven convenience store. Our code allows for retail in a neighborhood business, and we do not have a code that prohibits the hours of operation.
Where would that application come to? Would it come to this board?
No, it's a matter of right use, and it's a site plan application in which the Department of Planning and Development, based upon the number of parking spaces required, would make it a minor application, which is site plan approval only by the Department of Planning and Development in terms of site amenities, in terms of landscaping and lighting and signage. We don't regulate the hours of operation for this convenience store.
We're meeting tomorrow, correct? You'll be there at the meeting? All right. I'd like you to bring this up with myself and the other administrators of the town to look at these to determine what is the appropriate way to protect the residents and their right to a peaceful existence in the neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
And we'll explore all the different options on all types of sites throughout the town to protect all of our residents.
Yeah, because again, these laws, as the town helped us to understand, were written that the business, neighborhood business in 1960 is very different from a neighborhood business of today. They didn't have Sunday operation, they didn't have night operation.
We could look to recodify.
Let's have that discussion tomorrow and look at this type of regulation throughout the entire town.
Good. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
You passed out of my neighbor who
Thank you for bringing this up. This is very, very important. This is the way government should work.
Thank you, yes. The neighbor resides directly next to us, so I'd like to speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's Barbara Enright?
That's right.
Thank you, Mrs. Valenza.
Thank you so much. So you understand the gist of everything. I don't have to repeat what she just said. But as she did say, we do live right next door. I live with my husband and my 2 young boys and my in-laws. It's my father-in-law, he's 86 years old.
Yes, sir.
So I, of course, worry about his quality of life as well. Again, this being 24 hours. Tommy, you could join us up here if you'd like. If that's okay?
Whatever you'd like to do, whatever he would like to do.
If it's okay, I'd like to read zoning under section 246 through 247, titled Site Design Standards, 7.8. The reviewing agency may establish reasonable limitations on the hours of operation of any non-residence use when such use is in of a nature or location that could reasonably be expected to have significant impact on neighboring residents at unreasonable hours of the day. Okay, now I do understand and I am aware that this is as of right use. Okay, I am aware. What I would love to see if you could strongly consider amending this, please. Again, when this was put in 1960, there was no homes around this. This was the only, in fact, this was the first, if I'm not mistaken.
It was the first structure on that entire block.
So naturally, to be considered that business district certainly made sense 60 years ago. Does it make sense today? Again, I have 2 young boys. This is my worst nightmare for this type of business to be right next door to me 24 hours. And again, when this was put into place, this could also be any type of business. That's concerning.
That's very concerning.
In 1960, who knew there was going to be vaping shops all over the place and medical marijuana dispensaries? We didn't know that. So according to the way it stands now, any type of business of any type of hours could be right next door to me. So I'm very upset about this. And Mr. Saldino, we're very happy you're here. And we do look forward to rebuilding our trust, and I do appreciate that. And that's my piece. So my husband, could you say a couple of words?
Certainly.
Hello, my name is Brian Enright. I'm Barbara's husband. We live directly next door. This property touches on 4 other residential properties. It's a concern that it's a duplication of services. We do have a 24-hour CVS that is directly across the street from us, which provides many of the same services that this 7-Eleven would, with the exception of cigarettes, vaping, and condoms. The other part about it is the light pollution. We did have issues before with the gas station that was there. We went and we spoke to them directly about flooding our entire backyard with light. It looked like 1 in the afternoon and 1 in the morning in our backyard. We worked with them. They did redirect the lights. It was not ideal, but at least it was better than it was. And I think that's basically it. And this is my dad.
Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Supervisor. My name is Thomas Enright. I live at 1230 Stewart Avenue. The gas station beside us, they are extending it already. Work is in progress. I think it's about 10 feet away from the wall, and it has severely impacted our quality of life. The thoughts of a 24-hour 7-Eleven. My wife and I were living there 35 years. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on our home. We're very proud of it, and try to keep it nice. And the entire block is beautifully kept. If you take a ride down there, you'll see. 7-Eleven, CVS is right across the street. It functions 24 hours a day. There's never any problems. The management was, we went through this before with the town board. Everyone was very nice. That company complies with us in every factor. And 7-Eleven would be a nightmare for us. There is a real possibility that I could not even sell my home with a 7-Eleven open 24 hours a day. I am most impressed with what I heard here today. I'm an immigrant to the United States, here 62 years. I'm a proud member of the Armed Forces of the United States, and we just love it here. We love our home, and Mr. Supervisor, we express our congratulations to you. And what I see this morning, we have good government, and that transcends down to the people. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Enright. Thank you for coming here with your family to voice your concerns. Thank you for your service to our nation. This town board is very proud of all of the veterans, including you, sir. We welcome immigrants. We welcome everyone to our town, and we greatly appreciate the fact that your service to our nation allows for this democracy where everyone can come up and speak and have open government.
Democracy in action.
Thank you, sir.
I was welcomed here from day one.
And you will continue to be welcome with open arms, sir, and your family. And I'd like you and your family to know that your concerns have been heard by all of us very loud and clear.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. God bless you all.
It's my wonderful daughter-in-law.
And you're all very fortunate to have each other. God bless you all. Thank you for coming in.
It's a good neighborhood.
Our next speaker will be Bob Fryer. What do you have for us?
Hi, Bob Fryer in Woodbury, from Woodbury. I'm just curious, does the supervisor and the board, do you have any kind of data on actual spending year-to-date in this fiscal year versus budgeted items that you could make us aware of? Do you have that information readily available?
Very lengthy right now to describe it, and I don't want to take up your time, so why don't you present to us all of the information you'd like us to hear at this public hearing?
So is that a yes or no?
Yes, we'd be happy to provide information to the public.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then also, I understand the town recently took delivery of some new sanitation trucks. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Could you explain
on monies that were from previous years, and the delivery has finally come about. They take quite some time to deliver.
So how many have been delivered recently?
We'll find that out afterwards, but we
I'm curious, so how many, I'd like to know how many were delivered, and at what cost per truck, and I understand these are diesel trucks versus the other ones that had been converted, if I recall, for around $60,000 a piece to natural gas, and now those trucks are kind of being, I guess, end-of-lifed. So I'm also curious what trucks hasn't the town taken delivery on yet, and when you're expecting those, the cost per truck, and what are you doing with the older natural gas type trucks? And that's those are my questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fryer.
You're very welcome, Mr. Saldio.
Our next speaker is. Yeah, we'll get him that information after the meeting. Ryan Enright and Thomas Enright. They just okay. So that's another item on the same one. So we'll get you that information after our board meeting. Our next item is to have a work session to. We have one more speaker. Shanu. I didn't have a slip on that.
They come again. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi.
Hey. There was an item that was brought to attention at the last meeting by an individual, one of the residents here as well too, which I'm also, again, upset about. It's these mailings that I get in the mail from the town. We're wasting valuable dollars that we could be spending elsewhere. But instead I'm getting these colored brochures in the mail explaining various things like Reclaim New York and things of that nature. We don't need these, Supervisor. We're in the day of age, like you just said. Technologies have increased. We got Facebook, we got cell phones, we got emails. We have multiple ways of communicating with these people. Do you know where these mailings go? I'll tell you where they go. They go straight into the garbage. They don't hang on people's fridges here. This is a complete waste of taxpayer dollars, and this has got to stop. And that's really it.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Just a point of information, we have realized, and because we've received many phone calls on this, that not everybody is online. Many seniors and others that don't have access or don't go online to get the information. So we have used a multitude of different methods to answer the questions of the public and provide them the information of what we're doing in this town. We've received a lot of feedback, whether it's mailers to provide information to the residents on when to get their cars off the road so that we may efficiently and fully do the street sweeping and the many other procedures that we do in the town of Oyster Bay. Whether it's providing access to government by providing a list of phone numbers of how to get direct response and the many different issues. It is clearly something that we have discussed with the public, and we continue to get feedback as we believe all residents, whether they have access to the internet or not, deserve an equal say in government and equal access in government. So if there are no other speakers, we now will be entering into our next phase of our program on our concessionaires. We have, we're going to give the board members a 5-minute break, and then we're going to hear the responses on the request for proposals.